Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good day. Warm greetings. This is a sound check. And while I'm waiting to hear from you for the sound check, because there's a minute or two delay, um, just want to express my delight at being with this worldwide Sangha, and also to check in and see those of you who tried out the homework. If you reflected on one action of body, speech, or mind yesterday, what did you notice? I would love for you to take a moment in silent reflection, or perhaps to share that reflection either now aloud or with others later, or by writing it down later. So with that, just name that reflecting on actions of body, speech, and mind can be a lifelong practice. And in the talk today, I'll be talking a little bit more about bringing a perspective of lifelong practice into how we practice, how we live. So, some people are saying loving and kindness with a conversation with your son. Wonderful. Some things, lots of things can remain unsaid. Yes, that can be wisdom. So I promise to look at the rest later. And I'm going to invite you now to settle in to meditation. Take a posture that allows for receptivity, groundedness, calm, kindness. Allowing the eyes to close. The eyes to soften. And the tongue to soften. Turning the gaze inward and softening inner speech. Or perhaps even allowing it to slow down or stop. Starting with a few deeper, slower breaths. And inviting a wave of relaxation down your body. Tuning into the context, the surroundings of the room. Being receptive to sound, sensation, warmth or cool. The weight of your body taking your place, your seat on this earth. and allowing the breathing to be natural. And inviting the attention to rest on each breath. Inviting the attention, the awareness to brighten on the in-breath. And to let go, relax, surrender to the out-breath. Allowing the attention to be invited, encouraged to be here. Immersing in the breath. Noticing and appreciating any moments of ease, comfort, any soothing qualities of the breath. Of being present. Allowing the attention to steady, to unify. With the ease, simplicity of breathing. If the mind is pulled away, it's natural to be kind and gracious with what minds do, and to appreciate, welcome the return of awareness of this moment, this breath. noticing, appreciating any softening, relaxation, any sense of being soothed or pleasant sensations, no matter how small, in the breath, in your heart. Letting go with kindness, with compassion on the out breath. Inviting presence, awareness on the in breath. If the mind is pulled away, allowing the sensations of aliveness of the in breath and out breath to call the mind back here, now. Staying in contact with all the sensations of the in breath to the very top, fullness of the in breath, and all of the sensations of the release of the out breath, like stroking a beloved animal. Perhaps noticing the still point, the pause at the end of the out breath, and letting go into that, releasing before the natural arising of the in breath. as the mind begins to steady, if it does. Inviting, letting go into the moment, a loving letting go on each exhale. Let go, let go, let go. Immersing, softening into the moment. In the last remaining moments of our meditation together, noticing, taking in, appreciating any softening, any peace, any steadiness, savoring any little glimpse or corner of goodness, reflecting back on these moments of meditation and gathering them up in your heart, in your body. And from that place, offering, perhaps with an internal gesture, a sense of generosity, of letting go, offering that goodness, those benefits out into the world, the others your life touches or has touched. May they be safe, happy, as healthy as possible, no matter what their condition. May they heal into peace. May they know ease, and may they be free. May our practice here together be a cause and condition for greater peace and letting go in our own lives and in all of the lives we touch and all of the lives they touch, outwards and outwards, rippling. May all beings be safe, peaceful, and free of suffering. Thank you for the sincerity of your practice. I feel almost too calm to think or speak, but Guess it's my place in our time together to speak. So here I go. First, just to say that if you would like to practice together more online, I'll be offering a half day through the Sati Center for Buddhist Studies. And that is August 16th, I believe. Can go to their website for more information. And we have now reached the fifth talk in our series here this week on inspirations for insight, stories, and myths from the Buddha's life and how they relate to insight, freedom, practice. And this is indeed the last story of the Buddha's life. It's the story of his last teachings, his final words, and his last meditation. So, as some of you may be aware, the Buddha lived to quite a good old age for ancient India. And according to his own words in the ancient discourses, he was around 80 years old. And he had been traveling, teaching on foot for 40 years, founding an order. And in the months before his death, he knew he didn't have very much time left. And he was very clear about his priorities. So he traveled around emphasizing a certain teaching that I'll get into a bit more later. And then in his last hours, he arrived at a little town and sort of was a bit cloistered. He saw one or two visitors. And then when it was approaching the time for him to go, he settled between two sal trees. And the members of his order gathered around, and I think other kind of disciples, lay disciples, gathered around. And he lay down and he took the time to ask if they had any last questions, anything he needed to clear up. And no one did. So his last words, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, here, is make of yourself a light, a lamp, an island. Look for no other refuge. And then right after that, he said, make the Dharma your light, your lamp, an island, no other refuge. Take refuge in the practice, in other words. Take refuge in the teachings. And he did this without appointing a successor, very pointedly did not name a successor. The teachings, the practices, the ethical framework that had developed within his time with this Sangha, those were his successors. Then, his final meditation, he entered into samadhi, systematically going up and down through all of the jhanas and the immaterial jhanas or immaterial bases, which Gil covered in the last weeks. And then he went back down, back up, and entered the fourth jhana, which is deeply peaceful and equanimous. And it was from there, it said that he released, he let go into the final nibbana, parinibbana, unbinding and death. And in this story, the trees beside him and all of the trees in the area went into bloom out of season and scattered their petals down, like I think about knee deep, by rubbish pile deep. And it was quite something, you know, this beautiful scent. And if we take this as a mythic element, just like in the story of his awakening, flowers here are linked to inner beauty, ethical virtue. So that's a very brief version of this story. What might contemplating it offer in terms of supporting inspiring insight? Well, first, the Buddha repeatedly, presumably intentionally, gave a specific teaching in the weeks before he died, when he'd already realized it was time to let go of his life energy. And I'm summarizing here. This is from Digha Nikaya, Long Discourses 16. Concentration, that is samadhi, fortified with virtue, brings great benefits. Understanding fortified with samadhi brings great benefits and great fruits, that is, insight. And a heart fortified with understanding, becomes completely liberated. So that's a summary. It's based on Nyanamoli's translation. I think it's significant that this is the theme that he expounded in his final days. To summarize the summary, virtue is a basis for concentration, beneficial samadhi, which supports understanding that yields insight, which in turn supports complete freedom, liberation. And his meditative process then demonstrated and refined that teaching. It's an understatement, perhaps, to say that the Buddha lived a life of great virtue. And this supported his capacity to easily access jhana near death, at death. In particular, the Buddha chose the fourth jhana as his final release. And the tradition, teachers to this day teach that the fourth jhana, that place, even less than full jhana, is the best departure point for insight. That kind of peace, that kind of equanimity. And it may be for a split second in the middle of a storm, or it may be a long period of calm, relaxed equanimity. The process of letting go, dissolution, is important for insight and for liberation. And the Buddha demonstrates for his total unbinding at the moment of death. So to just bring this into our contemporary world, as a hospital chaplain, I had the profound privilege of being in the presence of a number of people dying. It changed me. It changed me. Those who can enter samadhi states at will at death are rare. But less rare and just as beautiful are those who have done their inner work, who have served the Dharma selflessly or served others, who have lived true to themselves ethically, who have cleaned up any messes in their lives, at least in their hearts, and let go at peace. It's palpable when you're in a room with someone in that kind of peace. Perhaps one way to summarize this from a Buddhist perspective is to, again, paraphrase the Buddha's last words. Make of yourself a place of safety, refuge for yourself and others. Allow yourself to be a light, a lamp, an island. Let the Dharma, let the practice and the teachings be your lamp, island, refuge. Refuge in the practices of ethical and meditative cultivation and of a generous heart. Keeping death in mind in life can serve as a reminder of what's most important. What do I want to look back on eventually? Oh, becomes very easy to make certain decisions. In other words, to be peaceful in the dying process, it's helpful to live in such a way that one can reflect back and feel at ease with. So, this supports insight, it supports wise relationship, supports a vibrant, loving, peaceful, contented life. So, in summary, for this week, the Buddha's example can inspire each of us to insight and living well by cultivating simplicity and contentment, by cultivating wise nourishment and a learning mindset with whatever arises in our lives, hearts, and minds, and by cultivating mindfulness, non contention, kindness, and honest self reflection. May this path support you in a life of peace, love, and ease. Thank you for your kind attention.